The Denver Broncos are getting some really, really good news, man, as it pertains to the injury front ahead of the Thursday night matchup against the Oakland Raiders, as well as on the trade market. Some good news that affects this particular game as well. And guys, before we dive into all that, I think it's really important to realize just the sheer importance of this upcoming game, right? The Broncos are 7-2. They put themselves in a really nice position, but they've only played one divisional game, and that's the one divisional game we lost. So these divisional games, for me, I always look at them as they count like 1.5 games. I don't care if it's the worst team in the division or if it's the best team in the division. It is always very important. And you know it's going to be tough. Both teams are coming off on short weeks. The Raiders are coming off of a tough gut punching loss at home. The Broncos had a comeback win against the Houston Texans. So this is going to be massive. But the Broncos got some really good news ahead of the game, which I think is awesome. So on the injury front, Marvin Mims is back at practice today. He participated in the walkthrough. It looks like he's cleared all the protocols that he needs from the concussion that made him miss last season. So by all accounts, it looks like we are going to have Marvin Mims back. And I think that's huge, not just in the special teams and punt return game and kick return, but on offense too, man. Marvin Mims allows you to do a lot of things and give the defense a lot of looks that are, make it more difficult to defend. So really good news on that front as well. Also, if you saw yesterday, the Broncos had a practice report, but it was not, they didn't really practice, right? But it was like as if they were going to. And they listed Riley Moss with an ankle injury as a DNP. So that kind of got a lot of people worried, like, man, are we really going to be out our top two corners in this draft, or in this game? Sorry, thinking about the draft still, in this game. But the Broncos are lucky today. They listed him as a full participant, and he looks like he's going to be good to go. He practiced, and he's ready to rock. So really good news when it comes to that. And you got to love being able to go into this game healthier than you were last week, which I think is very, very big. We're going to have a more serious in-depth on this game, the key matchups, keys to the game, everything dropping tomorrow. But another big news that we got as it relates to this game is the Las Vegas Raiders have traded Jacoby Myers. Sorry, I had a little bit of a brain fart there, but Jacoby Myers is traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars today. I think it was for like a 4th and a 6th round pick. So it makes sense for both teams. I know there's been a lot of rumors. Jacoby Myers has kind of been wanting to get out of there. He's going to go down to Jacksonville and help, them with some of the issues that they're having. So I've always felt like Jacoby Myers is a really good receiver. I felt like he was a very underrated player. And he, coming back from injury this last week, that entire Raiders offense looked a lot better, getting him and Brock Bowers back. So now it's one less person that we have to worry about and deal with. Being out Pat Surtain was really going to make this kind of tough, because then you have to really figure out a plan for Brock Bowers, obviously, which you still do, but you did have to definitely worry and respect Jacoby Myers on the outside. Now that he's not out there, that makes game planning a little bit better. It allows for you to focus a little bit more on Jacoby Myers in this particular game. But they did sign Tyler Lockett, so you're going to get him again for the second time this season. And they got Trey Tucker, who's a young up-and-coming player. I think he's made a lot of plays. Very fast guy, somebody that the Broncos definitely need to have a plan for. But really good news on the fact that Jacoby Myers is not going to be with the Raiders for this game. So you got to love that. I think that there's a lot of positives to take from that, and I think we'll be good to go. Otherwise, guys, everything else going into this game, it's pretty much, the same as what it was last year. Looking at last week, looking at what Sean Payton had said in the post practice presser today was actually really interesting. He talked about the team really focusing as much as they could this week on recovery, not putting too much on their plate, just making sure that they feel really good, right? And putting more of the onus on the coaching staff to go through, the red zone plan, the third downs, the install. And he had said something along the line, somebody asked him, like, how do you find the balance of putting too much in the game plan versus kind of simplifying it? And he said something that really resonated to me. And it was a little, I don't have the exact quote handy in front of me, but it was something along the lines of like, let's not forget about the plays that we would like to call, but we're not going to force those types of calls either. So I think the Broncos will be going into this game with a more of a simplified game plan, which I think is very normal for teams going into Thursday night. And that could actually bode really, really well for us because I feel like a lot of the inconsistencies and some of the struggles that has plagued this offense so far this year, a lot of the times it's because there's a lot of details. There's so many different things that they're trying to work on and get better at, in different looks and subbing guys in and out. And basically everything has to be almost close to perfect for it to work really well consistently. And that obviously is going to increase the chances of something bad going on and making him a lot more consistent. So having a little more of a simplified game plan, reverting back to the plays that you installed in training camp with a more simple offense, and just make your guys go out there and beat theirs, I think can bode super well for this game. And I want to see that really revolve as much as it possibly can around the run game. Think that we have a really big advantage. Our O line versus their D line. I think we're going to be able to have a lot of run lanes open up, and it should open up things and make it a lot easier for Bo Nix to find guys down the field. As long as we have a plan for Max Crosby, who's an absolute menace. Absolute menace. On defense, I can't wait to see how Vance Joseph handles Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is an absolute elite player. He's one of the best players in the NFL. Unbelievable. Came back from injury last week, and you just see he is the entire Raiders offense. He's an unbelievable blocker. He's amazing at catching the football. They line him up everywhere. And my whole positive spin on drafting Jahdae Barron was really specifically as it relates to the Raiders, because it would allow for the Broncos to put PS2 on Brock Bowers for the entire game and then have Jahdae Barron and Riley Moss both lock up the outside guys. Well, we don't have PS2 for this game, unfortunately. So now it's going to be interesting to see how do they handle it, right? Is it going to be a mix of Greenlaw and Jahdae Barron, Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga? Is it just going to be Hufanga? Is it just going to be Barron? How are they going to handle that? So it's going to be very important because he's really the guy you cannot let beat you on their offense. I'm even fine with giving a little bit of room to Ashton Genty. You know, if you're going to have a little bit lighter boxes and forcing him to run, I'm fine with that as long as it means that, Brock Bowers doesn't take this game over, because we've struggled with tight ends. We've never been the best team at defending tight ends. We have made a lot of strides in that this year, but it's still a pretty big weakness for us. And the thought of Brock Bowers going up against Alex Singleton terrifies me, because I see that as an automatic touchdown. So looking forward to seeing how the plan is and how they utilize Dre Greenlaw as well in this game, because he could end up being very massive. And he could really allow for the Broncos the luxury of having a little bit of a lighter box, knowing that if in the run game the defensive line doesn't get to the running back, that Dre Greenlaw is going to be there to clean it up and make sure that that's all taken care of. So very, very big game. I'm very excited for it. Everything is lining up really well for this Broncos team. They cannot slip up. Going into the mini bye, looking ahead to the road game at Kansas City in the following week, going into that at 8-2 is a really, really good situation for this Broncos team. So they got to do all the things right on Thursday night to get this down. But really, again, really good news on Marvin Mims coming back. Riley Moss looks like he's going to be healthy for this one as well. And we'll see how it goes on Thursday. But be sure to catch the in-depth breakdown dropping tomorrow. Appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful day, man. Go Broncos, and peace out.